City. This is 402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Thardish on 1499.3 KLIN.
Good morning. You're listening to Inside Business, sponsored by the Berry Law Firm and the Lincoln Airport. I'm Travis Filing with Transformation Marketing. With me, as always, Gary Thardish from Home Design Real Estate Group. How you doing today?
I'm doing great today.
Yeah.
Had a good day. Got a lot of stuff done already and going to be a good afternoon. So it'll be a good day.
Yeah, we've kind of had a nice, like late winter, early spring kind of thing going on here. I mean, loving the weather. Just loving it.
Yeah. I worked on the deck this morning.
Oh, man.
Like we're in February.
Yeah.
And I was thinking back 5 years ago in February, we had 19 inches of snow. We had two different snowstorms. And woof, glad that's not this month. God, that's not this year.
You're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
Like
I know.
We're going to get 10
like
feet
blizzard
of snow
warning
in June.
Exactly.
It's going to happen. Well, our guest today is Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Of course.
So now, where exactly is Invigorating Motion at?
So I am in Waverly, Nebraska, inside the Wave Athletics. So right there off of like Highway 6 and 148.
Okay, perfect. Very good. And so do you own that gym as well? Is it a gym?
It is. It's a gym and then a baseball hitting. So we do skills and stuff training in there. I am part owner of the Wave Fitness Gym with the people that own the Wave as well. So
do you think we can get Gary back into shape, up to speed, hitting home runs? You think we can help his game?
Okay, changing direction and pivoting here. Let's talk about, so full disclosure, Dr. Sarah Rainey is my physical therapist. So yeah, I've been tortured by her, but in a really good way, kind of, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I've been to your facility. It's nice, but more importantly, Invigorating Motion really is everywhere, right? Because you travel. I mean,
yeah. So when I first started, I was completely mobile, and then have kind of grown into the space at the gym. But when I first started in 2020, I wasn't in a space. I just drove to people's homes or schools, wherever they needed to see me, or other gyms.
And you still do that? You still go to people's homes?
I do a little bit. In the direction the business is growing, I'm really trying to grow out in Waverly, but there's still a handful. And I have an independent contractor that still sees people in the home.
Because I would think that's a lot of, people, if you need physical therapy, there are probably a handful of people who are struggling to get out.
Yeah. So, it really is a niche that can be filled. And there is a good handful of people that they don't qualify under the rules of home health where like a home health company can come, but they're still, it's taxing for them to leave, or it's not safe for them to drive, or they just don't really want to. And so kind of filling that gap has been an important thing here in Lincoln. So,
well, let's just get the hippity hop thing out of the way right away. HIPAA, whatever they call it, that thing. And we're approaching Easter.
I'm like, okay,
so
this is new.
Tie that in. So, Sarah, it's done a lot of work on me. So let's just say you can talk about anything that you want, maybe. But anyway, so the whole HIPAA thing's gone good. So if the HIPAA people are listening, bug off. Anyway, so I loved that you were able to come to me when I first used you because, my knee was messed up. I'd been on crutches for like 3 months, was still on crutches after surgery. And, I had 5 steps to go up and down. I had to watch the video like 5 times because I'm not that sharp on how to use the crutches.
What caused you to need physical therapy?
We have to go there. Okay, so I lost a battle with a twin bed.
Oh,
taking it apart a twin bed. I was all by my lonesome. It's really quite a funny story, actually. Somebody at work is like, "Are you gonna go?" I go, "Yeah, these clients haven't gotten rid of this twin bed. We're going live in 3 days. It needs to get out of there. So I'm just gonna go take it down. They just want to throw it away." So I go over and take down the bed. Before I leave, 2 of the young realtors were like, "Hey, do you want some help?" I'll go with them. I'm like, nah, I can do this myself. So I go over there, get the whole bed apart except the last 2 pieces. And when I'm struggling to get it apart, I'm pulling like, I can get this. And it comes loose, knocks the breath out of me, hits me in the chest. My leg gets stuck in the slats of the headboard. I twist one way, the headboard and my leg go the other way.
Oh my God.
So I laid there going, oh my God, I know what I'll do. I'll call my daughter because she works just 4 blocks away. Not that she could drag my fat butt out of the house if needed, but at least I would have help, except I left my phone in the car.
Oh,
So I pulled my body to the stairs, pulled my body down the stairs, go out the door. I'm going down the stairs it was a split level. So I'm going down those 5 stairs on my butt. This lady's walking her dog by and she's like, are you okay? And I just wanted to go, yeah, I always come down the stairs.
I just wanted to see how long it'd take me to get to the car on my butt.
Yeah. So she helped me. But anyway, so that's what happened. I needed to have knee surgery. What is that called inside my knee?
Meniscus.
My meniscus blew. Which your meniscus is like 2 of the little tops off of jelly that somebody canned. The little silver piece you take off. It's kind of like that a little bit. And mine blew up and was like one on top of the other twisted.
Did you get the bed apart?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But those last 2 pieces sat there
and not have the bed come apart.
Yeah. And my 2 friends from work went over and finished it for me. Like, had I gone first. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, or what's the phrase? I'm not penciled to sharpen. My pencil's not sharp.
There you go. It's never anything cool though when you get hurt. It's never, the plane was on fire and I had to jump out and the parachute didn't open. It's never something. It's like when I screwed up my back picking up a cup of coffee. No joke.
Right. It's the weirdest
time. It's usually the smallest things. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Everyday activities.
Definitely. Well, one thing I love about working with you is that you explain things really, really well. I would say like in Walmart language, right? So it's not like you're aren't working. It's like you explain it in a way that helps me understand. I like that. And then we've renamed muscles. That's good, right? Like I have 4 quads. I have spatulas. What do you call them? Scapulators. Scapulas.
Still wrong.
Still wrong. I just call them spatulas.
They're on your back. We let Gary call it whatever he wants.
We're working on that Gary to English dictionary.
Yeah, it's fine.
It'll be out soon. So what made you determine to go into this line of work? Because it's your actual PhD, full doctor.
So it's a clinical doctorate, just like an eye doctor and stuff. So it's not like a PhD doctorate. But it's still your clinical doctorate. It was sports. I played sports in high school and college, and just, obviously injuries and stuff that happen with that. And just always that fascination of kind of how the human body moves and works, and everybody's different. Like there is not like a textbook, which has always been intriguing to me. So that was really what got me interested in wanting to do that. And just kind of continued down that road. So in college, I played basketball and did some athletic training. So kind of in that same realm a little bit. And then, went off to PT school after that. So.
And then did you go to work for somebody else, or did you hang out your shingle right away?
So I've moved a lot. So I went to Hastings College. And then when I went to PT school, I moved out to Belmont, which is in Nashville, Tennessee, and spent some years out there. I took my first job in California. So I lived out in Temecula. It's like halfway between LA and San Diego. Worked as medical first on the sidelines for a football team, and then worked in an outpatient setting. And that was my first 5 years, was working for somebody else, and then decided I wanted to move back to Lincoln, and took a home health job, which was a big difference. So my clientele in outpatient was very young, and I was working with athletes. And then I went to home health, and I think the average age of my patient was like 88 years old. And so it was a big difference. It was a change of pace, which I liked, but and then I was the rehab director for that company for a while before I started my own business in 2020. So
very nice. That's 2020 is the perfect time to open a business, right? Right when everything is shutting down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Kind of how it went. So I was on maternity leave with my second kid. I had an 18-month-old and a newborn. She was born in December of 2019. So I was on my maternity leave, and I was getting burnt out of the profession because insurance started getting involved, and kind of limiting what we were able to do and the way that I was able to use my credentials and education. And I was getting a little frustrated with that. And so while I was on maternity leave, I formed my LLC. And as we know, right then at 2020, COVID was going on. And so the medical field was changing exponentially. I mean, and in home health, they stopped letting us go into people's homes or into assisted livings and things like that. And there's, if your clientele is 88 plus, there's a lot of them in assisted livings. And so we just didn't have the same patient load. And so when I got done with my maternity leave, the work just really wasn't there. And so they furloughed me. And that was probably the best thing that happened, because then I just took the money and everything from that and decided to go out on my own and start my business. And because a lot of outpatient clinics and things like that were forced to close essentially for a good period of time because of the rules, I basically had like a bunch of patients that couldn't go to outpatient anymore that I could see in their home because of the way I set my business up. So
Wow.
that's kind of how that started in 2020. And then as I grew, I started renting space from the Wave, and then started talking to them about, well, we need to open a gym. And so after about 1.5 to 2 years of bugging Matt and all those guys, they finally opened the gym with me. So
Very good. Well, we have a break coming up here, but I have a couple of questions on that coming out after the break. Want to give a quick shout out to Sartor Heyman Jewelers. They've been a trusted name in Lincoln for generations, helping families mark life's biggest moments with quality craftsmanship and personal service. Lincoln's most trusted jeweler for life's most meaningful moments. Downtown 12th and O, South Point Pavilions, and online at sartorheyman.com. You're listening to Inside Business. I'm Travis Filing with Gary Tharnish, and we're talking to Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and we'll have more right after this.
KLIN.
You're listening to Inside Business, sponsored by Mendoza Family Insurance. Today, our guest is Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and all those initials you get after your name. Hers is QOP. So how did you get that? Designation. Was it the Queen of Pain? Yeah, Queen of Pain. How did you get that one?
That was given to me by you, who also thinks that you have spatulas on your back.
We do. Everybody has them. There's certain lifts you can do to grow your spatulas.
There you go.
That's right. Exactly. So great conversation. That first section there was kind of fun. So you had a couple questions.
Yeah, I did.
Do those before we forget about them.
Okay. So when COVID hit and you're getting furloughed, people are going out of business. You just started your own business. Mm-hmm. Did you see a shortage of a need as we were coming out of COVID? Did that help your business?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it ended up being like the perfect business model at that time, and then I had to pivot as people started being able to open back up and stuff. So that pivot kind of happened as I continued to grow. But right when I started, I looked like a genius, because it was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you just go to people and said you shut down my clinic? Like, let me just drive to you.
Yeah. And did you do anything to try and grab up market share? Because here you are brand new. Nobody's heard of you. Nobody's heard of your company before. What did you do to grab up market share? So
I'd been in Lincoln for long enough. There was a couple of doctors that I knew. And so, hit them up and said, I'm doing this. So I would get direct referrals from a few doctors. I also had I had one friend that had a PT clinic and a chiro clinic that her husband had. So, and they were shut down. And so she referred me people that couldn't come to see her anymore. And even the home health agency that I had left, people that they weren't allowed to go see, they would give my information to. So I ended up,
So COVID was actually really good for you, right? In that way, business-wise.
I mean, the business did good. I got to stay home longer with my kids. I had 2 young kids. And so like, it ended up working out. I don't know that I would have drawn it up that way.
Sure.
But, you just kind of pivot. And
another thing you did is like, we're in Centers Fair together. So our Centers Fair group, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of referrals from there, I would think, which is really, really cool. So I might know the answer to this next question because my daughter Erin has her doctorates in occupational therapy. And I don't ever remember her talking about this, but usually she would be my one answer daughter and my other daughter would tell me everything about her. So did you have any, when you're taking all of your schooling, because it's intense, it's a lot of schoolwork, did they ever talk anything about business or owning your own business, or if you start a practice? Was that ever part of your formal education, or did that all come after you opened up and you went, oh?
We had it wasn't like a whole course, but they did make us like put together basically a business plan of like, where would you put your business and why? And you had to do a little bit of legwork with that. But I mean, it was like a 2-hour day, not like a course. I can't say that I learned anything from that. So no, I just made it up as I went. Now, my parents owned a small little convenience store in the Bennett Square, when I was growing up. So like I've been around business a little bit, but when you're young, you don't really pay attention to the nuances of the back end and the books and the taxes and the unfun stuff.
Yeah. See, and that it's so surprising to me because I have some friends that are doctors and they say, you learn nothing about managing people, leading a team, building a team, hiring people, all the marketing a business, all the things that you really need. Because most doctors, I would think, not most, but a good fair share of them are going to go hang their shingle out on their own. And college is just not.
Yeah, you get zero. I mean, you get essentially nothing. I mean, nothing that's helpful.
So what are some of the things that you did to kind of bring you up to speed? Because you have employees now.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of just learned on the fly and then tried to surround myself with people that knew the answers that I didn't know. So basically, I mean, I just kind of learned and made mistakes as I went, and tried not to make a big one.
That's most of us.
That's most of us.
That's part why we do this show.
It is
that hopefully people can listen to other people's mistakes and learn from that. And mistakes are a necessary part of life for sure, right? You learn a lot from those.
It is. But if you could learn from my mistake, then you're going to be, 10,000 miles down the road, go, oh, I heard Travis talk about that on the radio.
I was thinking of both of us the other day as I was driving, and we both had a $250,000 lesson we had to learn the hard way, right? Like those are the ones you never forget.
Oh, yeah.
Cesar's eyes just went like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I never had that much money. No, it went right through my hands is what it did.
Well, and the moral of the story is listen to our show consistently and you can avoid at least $2 $250,000 mistakes in your future.
That's right. No kidding. I mean, that is the truth of it. So I was the same way when I started my business. I'd done the craft for quite a while and kind of thought I knew it, because I was watching what was going on. But until you actually hire someone and have an employee, you have no clue.
None.
And then you've got, so at the gym, I want to talk just a little bit about the gym. So I've been there, obviously. And
really?
Yes.
He didn't. He only did a little physical therapy.
He didn't work out. He just showed up, hit the snack bar and left.
Yes, I was looking for the Slim Jims. And then they never did find those.
None.
And there were a lot of slim people there, not me. And then, I learned how to walk past the machines properly without tripping. So it's a very nice facility. That's one thing I'll say. It's just super clean. It's got a great facility for you have lockers. You can come if you're at work, you can go there, change, work out, and go back home. One thing I thought was pretty interesting is you have, and I think it's like what you have at the cabin, but I never remember what it's called. So on your phone or something, you just have access to the gym that way. So is it a 24/7? You can kind of just go whenever you want.
For the most part. So our normal hours are 4:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. But I do have a good number of people that I give 24-hour access to. There's people that first responders that have hours that just don't really fall into that
medical profession.
Yeah, medical profession. So with request, you can get 24-hour access. I won't give 24-hour access to our high school kids.
Good idea.
Smart.
So that's there's at least some hours there. But yeah, I don't need some of the 12 to 17-year-olds showing up at 2:00 in the morning to work out.
And then my physical therapy would occur there. I mean,
Yeah. So, I mean, really the reason I was approach them about the gym. There's a few things. I mean, obviously with me driving to people, there's only so many people I can see in a day. And so that's when I kind of started seeing people in a setting. I can see more people and help more people if I'm at a location and they're coming to me. I don't have the drive time between that. But the other part that straps me as a business of really growth is I'm still trading time for money. If I'm just seeing PT, if I get sick, my kids get sick, I want to take a vacation, I'm not getting paid. I'm also paying for all of that. And you're losing the income for that week or that day, which limits you. So the gym was part of that because that helps me with that. But really the full vision and goal was it's table to turf. So surgery to return to sport. There's a big gap that's missing with physical therapy where people are discharged and they're nowhere near return to sport ready or even just return to work ready. I get rotator cuffs that are 6 months out and can't lift 5 pounds over their head, but the doctor's telling them that they can start throwing again. And that's horrible advice. There's a lot of stress that's going through the shoulder with that and stuff. So being able to see somebody from surgery to return to sport and then also being proactive because I want to see those active adults and stuff in the gym that just want to get back. So we can do physical therapy, we can do personal training, we can do skills training. So basically all under one roof, we can help you get to whatever that goal is, whether you're 80 years old and want to just be able to get on and off the ground and go for a walk, or you're a high school athlete that's trying to make it to college. So we can help anybody.
Well, talking about that scaling and where it's all or nothing for you, right? If you're not there, nothing's happening. So like in nursing, you have RN and then you have LPN and stuff like that. Is there any of that in physical therapy? Like, can you hire an assistant that has some training? So I go in and you're like, Gary, these are the exercises you need to do. And I can tell you haven't been doing them. And then,
Yeah.
or wait, how'd that come out? So if you have somebody like that, right, where really with exercises, one thing I learned from you, because I never really did sports, and obviously I never really exercised till recently because I couldn't walk, is that forms everything, right? So do you have anything where it's like maybe they don't have their doctorates of physical therapy, but there's I don't want to say lesser degree, but a different type of degree where you could eventually hire someone like that? So if I came in, I maybe didn't need anything new, but I just needed to guide through my exercises and maybe get one or two more. Is that a possibility down the road, or does that exist?
Yes, absolutely. So there's PTAs, which are physical therapy assistants, which is kind of what you're talking about with the nursing and stuff. In my setup, I really utilize the personal trainers that way. So I will see somebody, for a while to kind of get them on the right track. And then I might check in with them once a month, but they're working with the personal trainer and I'm, helping the personal trainer a little bit with programming, just to say like, these are the movement patterns that are okay. And these are the ones that aren't. I mean, one of the things you said was I was never an athlete. Like it doesn't really matter if you're an athlete or if you're 80 years old, movement patterns are still movement patterns. And we all do the same ones. It's just whether like at what degree are we doing those? So, a lunge is a lunge, going upstairs is going upstairs, and these doesn't matter what level we're at, we're still doing the same movement pattern. So we can help you with any of that. So, I'd argue that anybody, it can be an athlete. We're really looking at the same movement patterns that we need to restore.
Well, we have a break coming up here, so let's run to that real quick. Want to give a quick shout out to Red Rhino Roofing. Thank them for sponsoring the show. When it comes to protecting your home or building, quality matters. Steve's been working on my roofs for like 20 years. Before I buy a house or a building, I call Steve, and he runs up there. He takes a look. He shoots it to me straight. If you're in Lincoln, just call Steve. If you're in Omaha, call Ben. Or go online, redrhinoroofs.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and we'll have more right after this.
Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
We're back on Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing, and we're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion. This segment sponsored by Western National Bank. This segment is called 5 Takeaways. This is where we get 5 things our listeners can apply to their business today. Sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. What's the first piece of knowledge you have for us, Sarah? Like a takeaway, something from your business, your career, whatever.
I'd say that you don't have to have it all figured out to get started, right? I think at the beginning, I did a lot of like, I have to have this all perfect. And then like, if this happens, then this is what I'm going to do. And if this happens, then this is what it's going to do. And really that just slowed down me pulling the trigger on things. So, 70% good. And then let's go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm 64 and I still don't have it all figured out. Am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
I am. Good.
I don't think
Thank you.
any
I've
of
been
us
sweating
ever.
it, man. I've been sweating it.
I think if somebody says I have it all figured out, then they've stopped living.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You learn forever.
Or they haven't taken any risks.
Right.
Yeah. That's a really good piece of advice because I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that never take that step. My father would be one of them. My mom was always like, Elmer, you would be great. You're great with people. You're very social. Open your own business. It would be great. And he never felt like it was all together ready to go. And I think if he would have just went, hey, I got 70%, 80%, I'll come along and it'll work great. The reverse of that is when, this is going to be so hard to believe, but in the mid 90s, I really sucked as a boss. And I was blaming it on everybody else until this older employee came, grabbed me by the ear, literally, and took me in the office and said, no, you suck. Anyway, I did. And a lot of it was because I was trying to manage everything 100%. So it's kind of the same thing in reverse where it was like, look, people will help you and do their thing and get through. They may do it 80% of how you would do it, but that other 20% might be amazing. And it often was, but that's a good thing. I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably stop and don't go because they feel like, I don't know the other 30% or the other 20%, or
it's the whole, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You just sit there and overanalyze it and you're afraid to pull a trigger. And like when we had John Barry in, time kills all deals. If you wait too long to make to make a decision with the information at hand, you could miss something big.
Yeah.
No, it's a great piece of advice. What's the next piece of advice?
I'd say people matter just as much as, like, for me, I guess it's my skill of the physical therapy. And obviously I have to be good at that or people wouldn't come back. But the relationships that you build with the clients, but also your staff and everything else, as that kind of goes into culture. And the people you can surround yourself with. Again, you're not going to know all the answers. Business is a lot more complex than people think. And so having those business relationships and just friend relationships and client relationships really helps drive the success of your business.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's true for all of us. That's true in life, in general as well. And it's interesting you bring up culture because that's been a recurring theme with all of our guests so much that culture is so important. And as you grow, because you're growing now and you'll continue to grow, that's a big thing. A lot of people will tell us they hire for culture and teach the skill, right? Because one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. I have a friend that works someplace where a gentleman just was released from his job because he was killing everybody there. He's ruining the culture just because of a really bad attitude. And, everyone sees that when it happens and it just can make a big difference quickly. So,
and I've told the story too, where we had somebody who just poisoned the well.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally had to we had a staff of like 14 or 15 at the time. We had to let like 9 of them go within 1 month because, man, one bad person can ruin your culture. And if you don't have it, people can get a job anywhere. I
have a friend that had that happening in business and let most of the people go, but not all of them that needed to. And that they poisoned the well of the next new hires. It was just unbelievable till there was finally a clean cut. And now things are just so smooth. And you do have to do that. I mean, it's
so hard to do because you cut 9 people out. That means Travis and Shannon are working 16, 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still not keeping up.
I mean, I learned that not in my business. I haven't had it happen, but when I was hiring I hired out of the need of filling a spot because we were all overworked. And I think we knew it wasn't a good fit. And I mean, that's exactly what happened. It killed the culture and the whole thing. I mean, you'd rather be overworked than hire the wrong person and then have to play catch up for the next 6 months to a year.
And be miserable and overworked.
Yeah.
I'd rather just
both.
be overworked.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is very important. Well, also you have now with the gym, I mean, you have a situation where you can't be there all the time.
No.
You probably still have some patients you see off and on, off facility.
Yep.
So whoever's there, that person's really important, right? Because they're bringing your culture forward and they're creating an atmosphere that people either want to come and work out at the gym or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of really good trainers that are there. There's another manager that kind of manages the field house side of things, but she really helps me on the gym side as well. And yeah, I mean, making sure that we're all on the same page, and we all work really well together with, you know, that same vision in mind of being able to
Yeah.
help people and that family feel of the gym. It's not your normal, you know, just come to work out gym. It's a family feel.
Yeah.
I love
Everyone's
it.
not 22 and bulky and make me feel like, so what's a third takeaway?
Wearing all the hats at the beginning, having to do all the things that Travis, you were saying earlier of the marketing and all of these different pieces that I really have nothing to do, really gives you like an empathy and a different perspective of their job when you're trying to hire somebody to do that stuff. But also just like how much time that really takes out of, you know, what you want to do. Like, so for me, I just want to see the patients, but like, I can't do that if I don't do all of the other things. So that really has kind of changed my perspective of how a business grows and works.
You know, for me, it was marketing. That was what I did not know anything about, but I did love it. You know, I love like, ooh, I could be on the radio, or I could do an ad, or I could have a help make an ad in the newspaper, because newspaper was still around back then. But I mean, that was my biggest challenge. And you can waste a ton of money in marketing without a proper strategy, vision, marketing bridge, all the things
Yeah.
you need that are really, really important. For me, that was my toughest. Is there any one that was the toughest for you? Like, was it marketing, or was it the bookkeeping, or managing the people? What was probably the most challenging for you?
I mean, marketing,
Yeah.
and even just kind of getting out there. I mean, one was a time constraint for me. I had two small kids at home. And so like I had to be very meticulous and direct with where I was going to put my time. You mentioned center sphere, you know, because again, if I'm spending an hour in this networking group, that's an hour that I'm not seeing somebody. So
Right.
that's money. But I also didn't have the luxury to come back into town and do stuff in the evenings and stuff like that. So I had to be very picky and choosy of where I was going to try to put my time, but I can't say that that's my strong suit either. I mean, I can talk to my patients all day and banter and do those things, but being in a big group and talking about myself was not really my strong suit. I've gotten a little bit better, but that was a harder aspect for me. And all the social media stuff. I feel like my grandparents or something. I don't really understand how that works.
The Facebook.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is
Like-
which I now call ad book, by the way.
Well, it's
Yeah, pretty
Instagram's
much.
where it's at now, is what I
Is
hear.
that the
I
deal?
don't know.
It's
Or
a- it's an
TikTok.
Instagram.
I'm
If I
not
want
really
to,
sure.
if I want to communicate with my kids, it's Snapchat.
Oh, yeah.
Then they'll reply right away. If I text them, it's like 3 decades later. Hey, did you text me? Yeah, that was before Grandpa died.
I am very old school, and this is scary because this is my industry. If you want to talk to me, it's a phone. Dial the number.
Mhm.
I'll say hello, then we'll go from there.
You know, in my buyers consultations and listing consultations, that's one thing I always ask my clients, you know, how do you want to be contacted?
Which is smart.
Yeah, and it's I have a client right now, a big deal that's going on, and she's like, do not call me, don't ever call me, I hate talking on the phone. And I'm like, okay, so if there's a lot to talk about, she goes, well, just text me and tell me you sent me an email, I'll read the email. And so I literally will find myself like, you know, picking up the phone and going, oh wait you know, I can't call her, that's not her mode of communication. And then we also talk about all the time about gathering of the troops, right? So when it's couples you're dealing with, it's like, okay, we're gonna have a thread, all three together, otherwise it's gathering the troops.
Yeah.
Like Tom saying to you, don't you think Gary should have to do push-ups? When I already knew I didn't have to. Come on, give me a break. So, but it isn't, you know, you do need to know how people want to be communicated with. What's the fourth takeaway?
Burnout is a warning and not a badge of honor. I think we are in this society where, you know, work. I can fall into that. I take work home. I mean, you're doing it all the time. And when you're running a business, it doesn't really, there is no hours. You don't get to just shut that off. But you have to have boundaries. You have to learn how to say no. That's really hard for me. And so that is something I'm actually still working on, because I have a tendency to always figure out, yeah, it'll be fine. We'll
I'll
work
make
it out.
work.
Yeah.
Travis's
that.
favorite topic, work-life
Yeah.
balance. He's gonna shoot me afterwards because he hates that. But I call it being where your feet are too,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're gonna go home and you're gonna be with the kids, they want you
Mhm.
with them, not you're there, but you're thinking 12 or 15 different other things. I think that's really important. That's a really good one. And we do as a society wear burnout as a badge of honor, actually.
Yeah.
I work so hard, I'm burnout. I mean, the words never come out, but you see it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it in a work product. You see it in just
I don't think your business can truly thrive if you're burnt out. I mean, I didn't take a vacation for 5 years. And so that was, and I felt like I couldn't. And, in hindsight, it may have made it better. I might have lost that 3 days or 5 days of revenue, but I would have felt re-energized when I came back and actually accomplished things.
And you would have made 10 times as much money as
right.
what
I mean,
you
I'd
lost.
probably there's the 250,000 that went down the drain.
You even felt a little guilty about it when you were telling me you went on vacation. So it's still a work in progress for you to feel comfortable about it.
Uh-huh.
In real estate business, we always say, hey, if there's nothing in the pipeline right now, just go on vacation and you'll be swamped. And it is literally how it works. It's weird. So there you go. Maybe go on vacation more, Sarah, and you'll be busier.
And something too inside that you said, because you're like me, I have a tough time saying no, because it's, to me, everything is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to bring some money in the door. And I have a tough time saying no. And the person of all people who got me corrected on this was my son, he's 22. And we were talking about doing something. I don't remember what it was. And he goes, Dad, in front of this person, he goes, Dad, stop volunteering us to do things that we have no time to do. Hey, my 22-year-old kid put me in my place. And he was right. You need to be able to say no. Yeah.
And also for me, what I had to learn was even when I finally started saying no, because I say yes to everything. And then I'm 5 boards, I'm volunteering for all this different stuff. And then I'm angry about it because I can't get my regular stuff done. And I don't know who it was that told me one day, and they said, what your challenge is, Gary, is that you never really truly say no. I go, yeah, I do. They go, no, I've seen you several times. You go, no, but I could probably change this around and then be able to do that. And He goes, where no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
Just no.
Well, and if it's no, if you can help them or know of somebody and point them in the right direction, you're a resource.
Yeah.
Because we've been going through that as we're expanding into other markets. Yeah. I've been trying to find a big voice guy, and they go, well, I don't have time, but I know this person. Here's a phone number for you to call. I have strengthened relationships with people that I'm not doing business with currently. But there are people that I've called, they're a resource. They've helped me. So
I get it in real estate all the time. I mean, I help you buy, sell residential. That's what I do. I don't do the commercial. I don't want to do that. Multifamily is not really my thing. I can sell it to you, but I'm not really that good on it. So we have a really cool thing in real estate where you can refer and you're still going to get a little bit of commission on the referral. And that's been a really good thing for me, because otherwise, man, if I treated it like I did so many other things, it's no, but I could probably go $1 million and we got it all done. And then they are we bought this really bad place that's falling apart.
Right. And then who gets the blame and how much does that
Sarah
cost
Rainey.
you?
I usually blame things on
No
Sarah
matter what.
Rainey. Yeah. I mean, I try to. Most people buy it, but then they wonder, and I'm you don't want to talk to her. It just will get worse.
Well, what's your last takeaway?
Confidence grows from evidence, not perfection. So I think we all try to be perfect at stuff, but every win, whether it's small or big, is what really ends up building that confidence to continue to grow. So it kind of comes back to, you don't have to have everything figured out to get started, but also just kind of taking those small wins as you continue to grow.
State that again. Confidence grows from evidence, not
Perfection.
I like that.
I do too.
I like that. Yeah.
I should be writing this down. Thank God this is a podcast as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm perfect, so I didn't need to have it, but I thought people would need to know. And so, wait, I probably have so many problems. We can't even go there. I need somebody with a doctorate in psychology. Those people like flee from me when they see me coming, though. I don't know what the deal is. What could that possibly be all about? Those are really good 5 takeaways.
Yeah, those are great.
I love them all, but your first, I think, is the most beneficial for anybody thinking about opening their own business or being in entrepreneurship or working for somebody where you feel like you want to start your own business. You know, so many times it's like, well, I don't have a big facility yet to store all of my electrical supplies, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, where it's like you don't have to have everything to start, right? I mean, look what you did. You started at a crazy time in your car, basically.
It was a Kia Rio too.
I love it.
with the big table that I would just barely fit in the trunk.
Oh wow.
Well, I also remember when I hired you because I'd met you in Centersphere, the same Centersphere group, which is a networking group. If anybody doesn't know what that is, but I remember, and you're like, well, when I'm cash, I don't do insurance. I don't go through all that paperwork. 2 things I love about that I learned I love about it. At first, I was like, ooh, you know, whatever. So for me, with the insurance I had, after so many visits, I could turn it into my insurance capability. You gave me what I needed and they reimbursed me. So that was kind of cool. But the bigger thing about it that I loved is that you could answer any question without fear of not getting paid or having to make a second appointment. What I mean by that is, like, I go to my doctor now and they're basically like, you make an appointment. Well, what do you want to see the doctor for? You know, well, I have a problem with my knee. You get there and you want to talk about this problem with your shoulder or whatever. And it's like, well, you'll need to make a separate appointment. Like, insurance doesn't, you know, unfortunately, insurance governs so much of what we do.
In PT, that is like, we can only treat one body part sometime with insurance. So you come for a knee, but it really has nothing to do with your knee. And I want to, you know, treat the whole system. Again, our body doesn't move in parts, it's in patterns. And so, yeah, being outside that insurance model allows me to treat the whole person and not just like the one thing.
And after our next break, I want to get into that a little bit, specifically what you're talking about, because that made a difference for me personally. But I hear you talk about it in Centersphere all the time, and the importance of that in movement, and that you might have a knee problem, but really your problem is your hip or it's your whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. The other thing I want to make sure we cover in one of our next segments is sports performance and youth being overworked. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Very good. Well, let's run to a break here. That was 5 Takeaways sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. Want to thank them for being a sponsor of the show. NFN exists to support Nebraska farmers and ranchers through education, advocacy, and connection. It's all about strengthening agriculture and the communities that depend on it, keeping Nebraska farms Nebraska owned. To learn more, go to nebraskafarmersnetwork.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and we will have more right after this.
3 KLIN.
Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Gary Tharnish. Alongside me is Travis Filing. You're listening to Inside Business, sponsored by the UPS stores. We're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and it's time for Unexpected Impact. Business is full of surprises, some good, some not so much. Sarah, tell us something unexpected that happened in your business, how you reacted to it, and what that impact was.
So I kind of touched on it earlier, and I don't know if it was as much unexpected as you just don't know how the business is going to grow. But I knew one of my biggest problem was going to be time, as far as like driving 2 people. And then, you know, that also that piece where like I had to figure out a way that I can get paid if I have to take time off or do things like that. So figuring out how to make that work, you know, especially, you know, a year or 2 into it. Obviously one of the perks of being mobile was my cost was low. I wasn't renting a space. I wasn't doing some of that. So figuring out how do I rent a space and prepare for that growth when the growth isn't there yet. And that's kind of where my partnership came with the Wave and Wave Fitness. They were fantastic working with me as I grew, and it ended up being one of the best decisions I made, and it was a great partnership. Didn't know that's where it was going to go going into it, but it ended up being a perfect fit for my vision, and it worked out really well after we, now the gym's been open for a year, and we're growing everything out from there.
So just for clarification, the overhead on a Kia Rio is less than the overhead on a big old gym.
At the time, that Kia Rio was probably like 12 years old and paid off too.
I know, right? So there
The
was
check engine
the
light was
gasoline,
always on.
a little bit of maintenance.
That's what they make stickers for. You put a sticker right over that
Yeah.
check engine light, you're golden.
It's fine. I was told as long as it's not flashing, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I'll never forget the first time my daughter ran out of gas where she's like, this car is a piece of blank. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I go, well, were there any lights on? It's 4:00 in the afternoon. Why would the light be on your dash? My dash, where the speedometer is, it tells you how fast you're going. Yeah, stuff comes on there all the time. There was a light that came on 3 days ago. Well, what was that light? I don't know. It started flashing today, like shortly before your car died. Yeah. What did it look like? I don't know. Did it possibly look like a gas pump where you get gas? Yeah, kind of. Okay, you ran out of gas. Your car's fine.
Kinda.
You're not, but
Because so many things
Car's
look like a
good.
gas pump,
Right. Right. So your overhead was that. So that's kind of solved that challenge you talked about earlier of being able to leave and the company's still making money. That's a big. I mean, I was that way in my flower shop. I think it was like 3 or 4 years before I took a vacation.
Mhm.
And man, by the time I did, it was so over. I needed it so badly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
Well, and something
Mhm.
too is a great lesson in starting out in business is you don't have to get everything at once. You
Right.
don't have to rent. I'm sure you would rather have been doing it in a Cadillac Escalade and having an office,
That would've been nice.
yeah, have an
In
office on
retrospect.
Sheridan Boulevard or something like that. But you know what? It's just not in the cards right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's me and a Kia, and I'm at your house, and that's how we got to get this thing rolling. That's a great business lesson for
Yeah.
people who are just starting out. You don't have to have it all because
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to afford it.
and it goes back to your 80% thing, right? Like, I mean, sure, it would have been 100% thing if you had all of that other stuff, but you still went ahead with it, regardless of not having everything you wanted.
No, I see so many people who go into debt massively,
Yes.
starting out their business, and you go, oh man,
Really
you're-
hope
you're
that
not-
works
yeah,
out.
I really hope,
Yeah.
because one little bump in the road and
Mm.
you're toast.
Well, and you don't control everything at all.
No.
Surprise, surprise. I mean, the government we can attack a country. Any 9/11 can happen. That's what
Yeah.
happened to me where I lost $250,000. I mean, you just never know. So going into debt is a huge, huge risk.
And you don't have to start thinking like something could go wrong, like COVID wrong.
Right.
No, it's something that, you know what? If you're selling tires and all of a sudden it doesn't snow, you're not selling it. It could be something
Mhm.
minuscule
Yeah.
that can really put your business off kilter. And if you have massive payments and rent due and leases and who
Right.
knows what, and a lot of leases, I mean,
Yeah.
you're paying to fix plumbing problems, even though it's a
Yeah.
leased
Yeah.
building.
Well,
Right.
our auto collision places right now this year, right?
Yeah.
We've had very little ice. There really hasn't been hail. I mean, unless you're getting, there's always car accidents, of course.
Don't go jinxing
But
us
some of
now.
those
Yeah,
biggest
we're toast
things-
now.
Oh no.
We're
did I
we're
just
in
jinx
fake
us?
spring right now, and
Yeah.
Listen, the key for your survival is just always leave or arrive before I do. Then I won't be on the road at the same time as you, and you're safe. I am a bad driver. We used to have 6 vans, and we would get phone calls, and it would be like I could just see my sister on the phone, and she would just look over at me like, and then she'd go, "Just a moment. Are you able to hold for a moment, please?" Yeah. And she goes, "Were you on 33rd and O Street about 25 minutes ago?" I'm like, yeah, why? Did you maybe cut off a leg? I go, well, she kind of yeah, she's on the phone. Want to talk to her? I was the driver that was always bad. We never numbered the vans because we just knew it'd be me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Just full
hilarious.
disclosure. I was like,
That is hilarious.
uh,
I wonder, honestly, I wonder if it had to have cost you business, because you think of people out there.
you know why it didn't? And we've talked about this on the show before about owning your mistakes, owning who you are and just doing. I would get on somehow. A lot of times, those people became some of our best customers. Like I got on the phone with the lady, and she was mad, and she should have been. I mean, I remember. Right, I'm just a bad driver anyway. So what I did was I would be pissed if I were her too. So I just got on the phone, and she goes, "Are you the owner?" I go, "Well, I'm a little worse than the owner." And she goes, "What does that mean?" I go, "I was the guy driving." I go, "You have and we just had this conversation. I talked to her for like 10 or 15 minutes. Then I remember like 2 years older, she calls up and she's like, "A friend of mine passed away. And you know what? I'm going to trust you that you'll make a good arrangement because you were honest to tell me that you were a bad driver." And I still can't believe you did that. I mean, it was still on her mind, but just own up to stuff.
And we know you'll do whatever it takes to get through traffic
I
to
was
get
gonna
that
say,
delivery
the
there.
flowers will make it on
Right,
time.
exactly. Actually, I rarely had flowers on the van. I was just always late to something.
So if one of our listeners is out there and they get cut off by a station vehicle, it was probably Gary driving the station vehicle.
Exactly.
There we go. So now
Right.
you're
Oh
going to
my
be the
gosh.
repository of all the bad driving that happens at the radio station.
I was literally high risk insurance till I was 42.
Were you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
Yep.
That is not
Yep.
cheap.
Yep. You were just talking earlier about being burnout is not a badge of honor. I probably shouldn't wear that as a badge of honor, but it is a truism. I mean, yeah, not very good.
That is crazy. That is still one of my favorite takeaways.
Yeah.
Is burnout is not a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I did. I wrote that down. That is
I do love that. I liked yours today about when you get so old, you just fart and dust.
fart and
That's
dust.
a good one for me. I'm going to hang on to that one.
I wish you could have met my dad because
Me too.
These all come down naturally.
Yeah. What's the one about gravy spilling over on your plate? That's always a
Oh,
really
on
fun-
taters. Yeah.
On taters, that's it.
When's that gravy going to slop over on my taters?
Yeah.
That's
I like that
that's
one
good things.
too.
Yeah. And when you're doing good, I can't say it, but you're making it in high cotton. That was his. Yeah. That was his big thing. Anyway. So a couple of things that you had talked about was when we were talking about insurance,
Yes.
right? Having to make an appointment. There's something wrong with my knee, and it's actually maybe it's your hips or your back or something like that. Now, what do you have to do in your business to go through that process? Because everything is like siloed now.
Right.
I can only work on your knee. Which
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
So that's the problem, and kind of what I touched on of the insurance is starting to control some of that stuff because they need these specific codes and they need the doctor to sign off on these codes if they're going to cover it. So Nebraska, along with most states, is what we call a direct access state. So Gary didn't have to go to his doctor first to come see me. He can just come see me. But if we're going to go through insurance, every insurance has their rules of what we have to do too. So like sometimes you have to have a doctor's signature on the plan of care for them to cover it. So you still have to jump through those hoops. And then if the documentation says knee pain, then I can't do anything except for treat the knee. And that's just, we miss a big portion of how our body moves. Our body is very complex. It's not like our knee just flexes and extends. And if I just work on strength in both of those directions, it's magically going to get better. Because that's just, unless you're sitting down and swinging your legs, like everything that you do, a squat, bending over to tie your shoes or pick something up, requires a whole lot more movement in the knee and everywhere else to accomplish that. And so if we're not addressing that, then we're missing the big picture. And I might put a Band-Aid on it, but it's not going to fix the root cause of the issue. So a lot of times knee pain has nothing to do with the knee, minus a traumatic event where we have like, for Gary, it was
a battle of a twin bed. Yeah.
But like it's usually coming from the joint above or the joint below. And in really crazy instances, it's coming from your shoulder. I mean, and unless I can look at everything, then we miss that. And so going outside of that insurance model, I'm allowed to, I get that one-on-one time with all my patients. I spend an hour with them, sometimes a little bit longer if we need to. And I have that flexibility to really take that time.
Well, and everything's. Remember the song we learned when we were kids? Your spatula is connected to your bacula. Your bacula is connected to your hippola, connected to your chicken
Something
legs.
like
Right,
that.
the whole thing. It makes sense, but that's a huge thing with medical stuff that drives me crazy right now, where it's just kind of like, let the doctor make the decision and do what they need to do. And just, I would go nuts if in real estate, it was like that. I mean, you have to do a lot of things on the fly because you're trying to do the best thing you can for your client. And that would drive me crazy.
Your hands are tied, and the doctor's hands are tied. Everybody's hands are tied. We don't get paid as much going through insurance as if we just have the person cash pay. I mean, that there is some truth to that, but also you just get a better quality of care, and they can look at your entire body. I mean, we have to check a lot of boxes when we go through insurance. That's going to take time. So, in reality, what happens in clinics is that they cut that time from you as the patient so that they can finish all of the check boxes that they need.
Right. Exactly. And I remember, I know we gotta take a break here, but just really quick, when my doctor said it's getting to a point where I can best serve my patients by hiring another doctor and a couple PAs, and instead I have to hire 5 bookkeepers.
Yeah.
Because of the paper.
I've heard that before too. Yeah. And just equating it to real estate. If there's water in the basement, it's not the basement's fault. I mean, it's either the grade of the the yard or the gutters are full, or there's something else going on that's putting the water in your basement. And to be locked down would be the most frustrating part, because business is frustrating enough as it is.
Right.
But then have to go back to some other doctor and go, yeah, it's not a knee problem, doc. You have to write the paperwork to say it's a back problem, which is causing knee pain, so I can treat this.
Right.
That would be just so frustrating. Well, I want to give a quick shout out to the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers 265 and the JATC electrical program. If you guys are looking or know anybody who's looking for a good opportunity, the JATC program pays you full-time wages while you're training to become an electrician. And I've always said this, today's electricians are tomorrow's millionaires.
Oh, yeah.
These kids are making unbelievable amounts of money. My son just graduated the program. I brought in the W-2 the other day and showed Gary. It's like 22-year-old kid. These are 6-figure jobs. And this isn't a 1 out of 1,000. They are all making huge money. So no college debt, pay while you learn. Go check it out. Lincoln Electrical, JATC.org. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, and we're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and we'll have more right after this break. And we're back on Inside Business, sponsored by Wayuka Cemetery and Funeral Home. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion, and it's time for This Needs an Adjustment, sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. This is all about something that's in your business that, oh man, I have an idea and we're going to go in this direction and maybe it didn't work, or something that just wasn't doing what you wanted it to do, had to shift, had to make an adjustment somehow. What's something that happened within your company that caused you to shift?
She met me.
There's some truth in that.
There's probably some truth. It's doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of running from you. Physical torturist.
I would say probably just the wearing too many hats for too long. I think that I held on to that for too long. And I'm still kind of trying to learn how to let go of the reins on that, so that it can really grow. That hindered my growth. I think, one, because you spend too much time doing it, but 2, you're not the expert at it. I mean, I'm the expert at physical therapy, but I'm not the expert at marketing and figuring out how I pull in my ideal client and where I reach out to. I think I mean, honestly, I think we're constantly making adjustments when something doesn't go the way that you planned it to go. And I mean, right now, I think the biggest thing is even the classes that I'm offering at the gym and stuff. I tried to get yoga started because everybody wanted to do yoga and then nobody signed up.
Oh, you need baby goats.
Yeah, that's what I
Baby
want. in
goats.
my
Baby
show.
goats. That's the next big thing with yoga. They have baby goats, I've heard,
probably,
right? Am I
yeah.
crazy or is that true?
No, that's goat yoga.
I thought you were,
It's called
I thought you
goat
were
yoga.
joking.
It's
Goat
No,
yoga.
goat
It's called goat yoga.
People actually pay more money.
David's
to
shaking
do
his
that.
head. He's heard of this too. I'm just the odd
Maybe
guy
he's
out.
done it.
Have you done goat yoga?
No.
They bring in little baby goats. I watched a YouTube video about it. I'm like, oh my,
The
this
goats
is
jump on your back and
hilarious.
everything while you do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But like figuring out what people want and when they want to come, and like, you know, you offer something and then nobody signs up and you're like, well, what'd you do wrong? Like you did the same thing that, you know, you got 20 people to sign up for. So that's, I feel like, just a constant moving target for me, and figuring out how to know what the community wants and what they, you know, want to show up for and what's meaningful to them.
The money is in subscriptions anymore. Honestly,
Yeah,
there
but
is so much of that.
I think
mean,
people
it's
are getting
crazy.
burned out on subscriptions too.
Yeah. Well, now we have the app, so it'll get rid of all your
Oh, yeah.
subscriptions.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, subscriptions are. Do I need a subscription to a facial razor? Gosh, I'm already at the grocery store and they're delivering razors to me. I don't know.
I love it.
But yeah, subscription, that's got to be a tough model. It was in the beginning.
Yeah.
Everything, even in marketing, we were going to try and figure out that subscription based model. And now we're seeing a lot of people are getting fatigued.
Yeah.
Well, I remember before, I mean, with exercise and stuff, right? With what I'm going through. So, I mean, we don't have to go into detail, but you know what I'm going through. And that form is so important, yet I'll find a reel or something, you know, and I'll be like, oh, there's an exercise that would help my back. And then I try to do it and I'm like, oh, okay. So first off, you kind of got to be in shape to be able to do that exercise. Talk about form. I'm now in a knot on the floor and I need help just to get out of this and get up, you know? So it is so true that all of that's really important. I think that's where having a good physical therapist can make all the difference, right? Same with the personal trainer at the gym. I mean, you go in, you don't really know how the weights work. You can do so much damage so quickly if you don't know what you're doing. It's the same with exercising. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT, hey, my back hurt, my lower back hurts. What's a good exercise?
Right.
You know, it could be videos of 2 or 3, but man, if your form, because I can remember when I first was working with you, where it would be really little things. I think I remember once saying, really, aren't you wise? I just got to lift my foot up a little bit. And you're like, shut up. Yes, I am. Well, she had to deal with me where I came. So
Who's
she's
the
not going to be
doctor
like
here?
that with everybody. And then it made a huge difference. Sometimes when I couldn't do the exercise and there's a little modification made it so that I could do it properly until I got to where I could do it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I know Gary's heard this before, but like, you know, people are like, who can use physical therapy and things like that. I mean, I kind of sound like I'm making a joke, but I'm serious. If you have a body, then you could use physical therapy. I mean, you go to the doctor to get your eyes checked once a year at least. You go to the dentist twice a year. You go to your primary care to get blood work done and all of these things. And those are preventative, but not anybody is looking at how well is your body moving. So we have baselines for that. And we have tests and movement screens that we can look at to say, you know, is your body moving well enough, or is there some areas that we could do? It doesn't have to be perfect, just like anything else, but there's still a baseline and a range of what we would expect. And if we can catch those things early, we don't have to be reactive later, which is really kind of what I really want to get towards people, is that, you know, in healthcare, we're going so much towards the reactive, not just in our musculoskeletal health, but in everything. We wait until there's a problem and then we just take a med. When we could be proactive and not allowing these things to kind of come into an effect. Low back pain, knee pain, things like that. Pain isn't normal, and we can look at that. I don't care if you're 12 or you're 80. Pain is a warning sign that we need to be addressing some of these things, and so that's where we can help. And again, you know, working outside that insurance model allows you to just call me and then we can make a visit. It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 times a week. I rarely see somebody 2 or 3 times a week for 6 weeks, which is what you see kind of in clinics. I see people once a week. We reduce down to once every 2 weeks. And then, like I said, we transition to what it is that's best going to help you. Is it personal training and you just check in with the therapist once a month, you know, or do we release you to that? Or do we, you know, release you over to skills training to where you can really work on that sports performance piece? And so it's that
I
circle.
I remember when you were assessing me, and one thing that struck me is there were like 6 or 7 different things you had me do, but I remember the one that hit me the most was when you said, "Okay, Gary, I want you to balance on each leg, and let's see how long you can stand on just one leg." You know, and I was like, "Well, that'll be easy. How long should I be able to?" And I think it was like at least 60 seconds. Or what was it? It was,
I mean, 10 seconds is the rule of if you can't
okay.
stand on your
And yeah,
foot
and
for 10
whatever it
seconds.
was, I remember thinking, "Pud." So I think I was 1 second and 4
Yeah.
on each leg, which by the way, now I can now balance on each of my legs for almost a minute, and the other leg I can have up, you know, like a Tai Chi move.
Yeah.
So it's making progress.
Balance
He's
is
sitting
so
on the couch
important.
while he's doing that. Does
This
that
is true.
count?
Yeah,
No.
well,
But,
No.
but do you find it difficult, like trying to educate people? Because I would think in your line of work in particular, trying to get people to understand that you don't have to always go to the doctor or always get a shot or always go to a surgery. I think years ago I had a rotator cuff pain,
Mhm.
and so you go to the orthopedic surgeon and you need surgery. Wait a minute. I was like 40 at the time.
Mhm.
Like, do I really need rotator cuff surgery? Maybe I do, but it's so easy for people to just go, "Well, you're the dad. Off you go."
Well, yeah, and pain, I mean, medication in general just masks everything. It doesn't really heal, or you talk about that all the time, which I just wish I could give all our listeners all the information I've learned from you just in center sphere and everywhere over all the time. But medication and surgery is not the solve for everything. I mean, a lot of people, I know people that have had the surgery once, they get it again because the original problem was never solved, which was something in their neck or their leg or a different part of their body completely. We're going to go to a break here, but coming out of that, I really want to talk to something you said once. I think especially anybody listening with kids needs to hear is what's happening in kids sports today and expected of kids at far too young of an age with much too much repetition. Anyway, this needs an adjustment was sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. And when you need an adjustment in your business and in your body, do it before things get out of hand. Total chiropractic care for adults, pediatrics, rehabilitation, acupuncture, cupping, weight loss. The list goes on and on. To see their list of services or to schedule an appointment, go to ascendchiropracticne.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion and the Wave Gym. And we'll have more right after this break.
93 KLIN.
It's the last segment of Inside Business, sponsored by the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing, and we're talking with Dr. Sarah Rainey, owner of Invigorating Motion. And this last segment, we just kind of toss it over to you to talk a little bit about Invigorating Motion. But before we do that, we promised the listeners on the other side of this, let's talk a little bit, because you've talked about it in Center Sphere, and I remember it hit me like huge. And I even thought about when I was coaching the girls' softball teams when they were young. But there is, in my mind, a lot of possible danger happenings with kids' athletics today, where they are just asked to do a lot and a lot of repetition, too much, too quick, so on and so forth. Tell us a little bit. I know you work a lot with kids and youth in sports and adults as well, but tell us a little bit about that, what you see.
Yeah, so we're seeing injuries early in kids, and they're life-altering injuries. Obviously, working at the Wave, I have a lot of baseball, softball. I mean, I have friends that this has hit personally and stuff, but like we see UCL injuries for baseball pitchers.
What's that, UCL?
It's the
You
inside.
forgot the A. It's a college, and
it's this inside. It's a ligament on the inside of the elbow. Tommy John surgery.
Okay, got it.
But the most prevalent now is 16 to 18. That really changes the trajectory of the career of these kids. And I always say move well, and then you can move often. So what I'm seeing though is just the demand that we're putting on our youth athletes, and a lot of it is in the weight room, and they're lifting heavy weight, but they really don't know how to move through the motion. So they're getting stronger, but they're not able to utilize and be efficient with that movement. And that's causing us to overuse in certain areas, or when we try high level things, so jumping or throwing or running or things like that, we're getting breakdown because we can't stabilize and we haven't learned the movement. So people ask me, how early can people start lifting? Well, as soon as the kid can realize the dangers of doing it wrong. Really, I mean, you can start lifting at a very young age. We've debunked the whole, like, it's, like it's gonna ruin your growth plate.
Yeah,
and
like
all
you had to
of-
wait till
all of those
puberty
things,
before
right?
you should lift.
That's not true. The amount of force that's going through your legs when you jump or walk upstairs is more than you would ever have a kid squat anyway. So like that's like they're putting that force through there. The importance is that they're moving well, and we're skipping that piece. So schools are starting lifting programs in like 7th grade, and they're doing strength and conditioning and stuff within the school, and the strength and conditioning coaches are doing their best, but they can't watch 100 kids, and everybody's kind of doing the same things. We need to be starting these kids really at like just the movement control and learning this stuff in 5th and 6th grade, even before if the kid wants to. But that's just learning the movement so that when we start to load it, it's okay. But if I load a pattern that's not developed, then I'm asking for an injury or an imbalance.
So what's a common denominator here? Is it that the right leg doesn't know what the left leg is doing? The trainer doesn't realize what the coach is doing, or nobody talks about the actual movement? Is that what's getting lost? So I mean, so I go on the gym and I deadlifted, 350 pounds today, and this obviously is not me, but so and so, and then can bench this much, and that's great. And then they go out in the field and they're pitching, but somewhere along the way, no one really talked about the movement of how, and that's what I'm gathering. And when I remember listening to you in Centers Fair, it's that the movement part of it's kind of lost.
Right. I mean, because you can bench and you can squat a lot, but that doesn't necessarily directly make you throw harder or make you run faster. If you can't connect the entire body into the entire pattern and the movement pattern that's required for running faster or jumping further or throwing the ball harder, then there's still that disconnect, right? So I can spend 3 hours in the gym getting stronger, but it's not going to necessarily improve my sports performance. That's where like I would get, even when I was, working out of my Kia, I didn't, people like, you don't have any weights. Like, how are you going to challenge me? I'll challenge you.
I can
Don't
tell you,
worry.
she can challenge you. Like stand on one foot for 10 seconds.
When I work with somebody and really try to focus on that stability and motor control, they can't do the simple things. You've heard me tell the story about the kid that ruptured his hamstring, didn't have it surgically repaired. He could deadlift over 300 pounds, but he couldn't walk up the stairs. If he walked up the stairs, he couldn't walk for days. It was so painful. He couldn't do a lunge, but he can deadlift, and it's his hamstring, and he couldn't figure it out. And it was really just, there was a ton of compensation that was happening. And once you're able to kind of work through that, this kid was told he was never going to play football again, and he got a college scholarship. So, we can work through those things, but we have to start that at a young age, ideally, so that they don't develop these bad habits and bad performances as they get into there.
We got about 2 minutes left. Let's. How do people find you?
So you can find me on my website, invigoratingmotionpt.com, or the Wave Athletics is where you can find information with the Wave Fitness. The address is 14650 Woodstock Boulevard in Waverly, is where we're located. And I work out of the gym. So when you walk or when you drive up, there's a big building with the Wave logo on the front, but the Wave Fitness gym is kind of on that northwest side towards the back of the building.
Well, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
This has been fun.
Sarah, so much.
Thanks for having me.
And for physical therapy, right? Yes. People just call.
Yeah. You can call me at 402-817-2455, or send me a text, or just hit me up on social.
Perfect.
Well, we want to thank Complete Family Dermatology for sponsoring the show. They provide comprehensive dermatology care for the entire family, from routine skin checks to more advanced treatments. Not just here in Lincoln, but all over Nebraska, Beatrice, York, Blair, Crete, Fremont, Geneva, Hastings, Nebraska
Paris,
City,
France,
Paris,
London,
no,
Moscow.
no.
They're everywhere.
They're online at CompleteFamilyDermatology.com, which does make them everywhere.
Yes.
And you've been listening to the 402 Business, 402 Insider.
No, Inside Business.
No, Inside
I know.
Business.
We changed the
We
name.
don't
I'm
know what
still struggling.
We don't know who we are.
I know.
And Sarah, thanks for coming in again and talking with us today. I think I'm Gary and he might be Travis, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds
Fair
good.
warning.
Yes.